What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I got this matte makeup look. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to start off by priming my eyes using the Morphe Fluidity concealer in 3.55. This is my first time trying this concealer on camera and I really do like it. It dries down really quickly, so it works really well as an eyeshadow primer. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be using it for. I'm just going to go ahead and apply it and just make sure to blend it in really well with the brush. Then to start the eyes, I'm going to go ahead and use the Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette in Dark to Deep. And I'm going to be taking the contouring shade from that palette and using that as my darkest transition color. I'm going to start applying that onto the outer corner of the eye and just kind of dragging it slightly into the crease. Not too much though, because we want to make sure just to keep that like drama and darkness towards the outer corner. So next I'm going to go in with the Bperfect Clientele palette in collaboration with MakeupWithJah, and I really love this palette, guys. This is one of my favorites right now. It has like all these beautiful neutral colors, warms, cool tones. It's so pretty. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and use the shade Boy to blend out our contouring color. I'm using a slightly larger brush than I did last time to blend this out, and for this color I'm going to use it to blend out the edges of our previous shade, but I'm also going to make sure to drag that into the crease as well. So next I'm going to use a little bit of the Fenty Beauty blotting powder to set my brow bone area. I love doing this because it just makes like that lash transition color go on a lot more smoothly and the blend just looks a lot more like seamless. You definitely don't have to use this powder either. Literally any translucent powder works for this step. I just like to use my Fenty one because it comes in a compact, so it's much easier to use. Then for my last transition shade, I'm going to go back in with the Black Radiance True Complexion Contouring Palette, but this one is in the shade medium to dark, and I'm going to be taking the sculpting shade, which is the one in the middle, and I'm going to use that to blend out the edges of my second transition color. I opted for a much fluffier brush for this step as well because I really wanted the look to be like super blown out and very like soft and blended and everything like that, and I just thought using a larger brush it would be way easier to get that effect. Then next I'm going to go ahead and start prepping the lid for shadow, and I'm going to go back with the Morphe Fluidity concealer. The shade I'm using is 0.00, so it's just the plain white. I'm using a flat shader brush to apply this, but it's a little bit on the fluffier side, so it's going to help me get that really soft blended look. So the lid is primed. I'm going to dip into that shade Sandy, which is also from the Clientele palette, and start packing that onto the lid. Once I have that color on, I'm going to go back in with that shade Boy with my Morphe M506 and just kind of give the edges of that shade a blend just to make sure everything is super soft. So I definitely wanted to add a smoky liner to this look, so I'm going to go back in with that contouring shade from the Black Radiance Dark to Deep contouring palette. So I'm going to apply that all throughout the lash line to start building that smokiness. Then once I have the thickness of my liner that I'm going for, I'm going to use that shade Boy again from the Clientele palette and use that to soften the edges. Then to complete that gradient, I'm going to use a little bit of black eyeshadow onto the lash line. I'm not going to use too much of this though, it's just to kind of give like that brown, something a little bit darker to transition into. I also added a little bit of gel liner. I used one from Melt Cosmetics, and I added that onto the lash line as well, just to kind of emphasize it a tad bit more. At this point, I was kind of wanting to lighten the lid just a tad bit. So I'm going to use that shade Peach Out also from the Clientele palette, and just a very, very small amount. I'm going to add that to the center of the lid. Next up is mascara. I'm going to be using one from L'Oreal. This is their new Unlimited mascara, and I really like this one. The brush is amazing. L'Oreal always kills it when it comes to mascaras. But I'm just going to do a couple of coats of that before I put on my false lashes. And the ones that I'm using today are from CrvstalLashes. These are in the style Maryjane. I'm going to place those on using some tweezers and just make sure to press them together with my natural lashes so you don't see like any like gaps or like skin in between like the lash band and your natural lashes. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to skin now. I'm going to do a little bit of skincare before I like apply foundation and everything. I'm first going to use the Farsali Unicorn Serum. I just love how this makes my skin feel, and it smells so good. So I'm going to apply that using a brush and just make sure to let that soak into the skin for a minute. Next up, I'm going in with the Farsali Rose Gold Beauty Oil. My skin's been more on the dry side lately, so this is just going to help give it a little bit of extra moisture. Then next, I'm using a little bit of Clinique's Dramatically Different Gel. I'm not going to use too much though because I already have that beauty oil. My skin should be pretty moisturized at this point and good to go for the rest of the day. And of course, we definitely can't forget eye cream. I'm using one from Badescu. This is their Ceramide Herbal Eye Cream, I believe. I just started using this one and I really like it. It absorbs into the skin really well. So it works really great if you're just like applying makeup right after your skincare routine, which is basically what I'm doing. But yeah, definitely don't forget your eye cream. I know for me, my under eyes can tend to get a little bit on the dry side. It's super important and it just makes your under eye makeup look 10 times better. And then I'm gonna go ahead and follow that up with some primer. I'm using the new Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer. They have like a new line of primers and there's like different ones like hydrating, perfecting, you know, all that other stuff. So yeah, I'm using the perfecting one. Again, I'm gonna blend that in using a brush and then I'm gonna use my fan for a couple of seconds just to really make sure that that primer sets really well so that way we can move on to foundation. I'm then gonna go in with a little bit of MAC's Studio Fix Fluid. I'm in the shade NC45 and I'm gonna buff that in using like a dense like flat foundation brush. I'm using stippling motions just to make sure that I get like the smoothest, like most flawless finish. I'm also going to use that Morphe Fluidity concealer to highlight. I'm going to use 3.55 first, the same shade that I used to prime my eyes. And I'm going to go over the under eyes, the sides of the mouth, the chin, the cupid's bow to start highlighting. This one's a lot closer to my skin tone, so it's going to make it a lot easier to blend in my second shade because I'm then going to go in with 3.35, which is slightly lighter. And that I'm going to use just directly underneath the eyes, like on the innermost part to create like that extra bit of brightness. We then want to set that concealer with some powder, so I'm going to be using a mixture of Fenty's Pro Filter setting powder in Banana, as well as Beauty Bakery's yellow setting powder, and I'm just going to press that into the skin using a brush over all the areas that I applied my concealer. I'm then going to use a little bit of MAC Studio Fix powder in NC42. I always see Makeup Shayla using the Studio Fix powder on her under eyes, so I went ahead and bought one just for my under eyes because it always looks so good on her. So I'm just going to be using a small amount of this onto the under eyes just to kind of give it a little bit of extra coverage. Oh, it's so good. I'm so happy that I picked this up and tried that tip from her because it literally just like makes the under eyes look so flawless. I'm going to be cream contouring today, which is like something super new to me. Cream contouring is definitely something that I've always found like super intimidating, but I really want to like perfect like my skin routine and everything. So I've been trying like new things and new techniques. So I'm going to be using the Black Opal Skin Perfecting Stick Foundation, and this one is in the shade Sweet Espresso. I'm not going to create like any lines or anything like that. I'm just going to use the product out of like the tube. So I pretty much just like rubbed my brush onto like the top of the product, and I'm going to use that to basically contour the face wherever I want like that extra bit of like depth. Then to set that contour and all the rest of the face, I'm going to use a little bit of Laura Mercier's translucent powder in the shade Medium Deep. So now that I have that contour, I'm not going to go too crazy with bronzer because we already have like contour and everything. So I feel like I don't need to use as much bronzer to kind of create depth anymore, which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to use a little bit of the Sculpting and Contouring shade from the Medium to Dark palette by Black Radiance and just apply that on all the areas where I want a little bit of extra warmth. Then next, I'm going to be using the blush side of the Colored Rain x Power Blush Duos in Damage Control and Call the Shots. I'm going to be using that peachy tone more so on the tops of the cheekbones, so kind of like going towards like the temples and everything. And then that pink blush, I'm going to add that to the apples of the cheeks. Then moving back to the eyes, I'm going to brighten the inner corners using Asia or Asha. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a really cute like off-white kind of peachy type of color. So it works really well with the lid area and everything. So I'm just going to pop that onto the inner corners. I'm then going to start smoking out that lower lash line, and I'm pretty much just using the same colors that I use on the crease and outer corner. So I'm first going to go in with the contouring shade from the Black Radiance contouring palette in Dark to Deep, and I'm going to use a small little precision brush just to get that super close to the lash line. Then to blend that out, I'm going to go back in with that shade Boy, and I'm using a Morphe M506 just to make sure I get a really soft finish. This is my new favorite step in my makeup routine. I have been obsessed with the like off-white beige waterline trend that's going on. So to brighten the waterline, I'm going to be using a Japanesque Velvet Touch eyeliner in the shade Waterline Nude. I'm then going to add some mascara to my lower lashes. I'm just going in with the same L'Oreal mascara that I used on my top lashes. I'm then going to start filling in my brows. Of course, you guys know it. I'm using the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Ebony along with my angled brush, and I'm just going to create some faux brow hairs. I've been loving more of like a natural, like fluffier brow, so I'm not going to do anything crazy. I just pretty much just like to fill in like the sparser areas of my brows so they look more even and more like put together. And then to set the brow hairs, I'm going to use the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. For highlighter today, I'm going to be using MAC's Extra Dimension Skin Finish in the shade Oh Darling. I'm using one from the Star Dipped Face Compact in Medium Deep. So I'm pretty much just going to apply that onto all the areas where I typically apply highlight. So the tops of the cheekbones, the nose, the bridge of the nose, a little bit on the Cupid's bow, and just a very, very small amount on the chin. Then for lips, I'm going to start lining them using the Melt Cosmetics All Day Everyday Lip Liner. This one is in the shade Edible. It's just like a really beautiful deep brown, so it works for a lot of different neutral colors. Then to fill in the lips, I'm going to be using Beauty Bakery's Lip Whip in the shade Fortune Cookie. I'm going to use a brush to apply this and just make sure to blend it in really well into that lip liner. Then for gloss, I'm going to be using a mixture of two different glosses. One is from Soap & Glory. This is their Sexy Mother Pucker lip gloss in the shade Rose and Shine. And I mix that in with MAC's lip gloss in the shade Young Star. And I'm going to apply that onto the lips using a brush. So this next step, I did more so out of curiosity. I went to the beauty supply store and I bought like these roller lip glosses because I saw them and I was like, oh my gosh, like I used to use those when I was a kid. It was just super nostalgic. So I bought like 3 of them in like different scents and everything. So whatever. I'm going about my day. I used the lip oil because my lips got dry and I was like, dang, these feel really nice and they smell really good. I forgot how much I really like these. And it just made my lips like super shiny too. So I took off the little roller ball and I put some onto the back of my hands and I applied it on top of like the lip gloss that I already had. And oh my gosh, guys, this lip oil, it literally just makes your lips look like glass. And of course it has like that watermelon scent that I was using. So it made it like 10 times better. I'm obsessed. So yeah. If you see me using these more often, don't judge me. Please, they're so amazing and they smell awesome. And that pretty much completes this look, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this makeup tutorial. If you did, don't forget to leave your comments down below in the description, not the description box, the comment section. And don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you did like it. But thank you again for watching, guys. I love you so much and hopefully I will see you next time.